was sitting down under a tree. He said, Lord God, I want you to help me with the big, big word a tourist tell me. The man says, saying it other place is unique, but he sound to me like he tell me God, and not the unique, what he mean. And here I tell him, only Saint Christopher in tabernacle a bad man hope. Only Saint Christopher, the sergeant and all jump the window and run. Only Saint Christopher, the man out and bail, walking wrong with a gun. And all the people in tabernacle dare not speak. So a situation like this is unique.
Fear the Lord, fear the Lord.
I wanna feel him. He say, Lord God, you should be a king. You teach monarch and start in how to sing. You have such an excellent memory and a mind like a dictionary. Your explanation is so clear. Once again, my brain is now in gear. So one more time, give me a beat of the proper meaning of the word unique. And hear what Christopher, how it only Saint Christopher, and next judge music, only Saint Christopher. If you spam, you dump the case, or you could leave the country. You will never get the justice that you seek. So a legal system like this is unique. Bravo!
Fear the Lord, fear the Lord.
Mackie say, me boy, what you say is true. Every sensible man must agree with you. The word unique in every case means something you find only in this place. So tell me now and proceed with care. Come close to me and whisper in my ear. If think it is so unique for you, do we have a prime minister that is unique too? And here I tell him, only Saint Christopher, prime minister reaching late and he works with those who come early. Only Saint Christopher, he gets up on all Fool's Day and he suddenly fire my king. Only Saint Christopher, he ain't got no explanation to give to nobody. But if he doing all this to prove that he is not weak, then a prime minister like ours is unique. Come on!
Fear the Lord, fear the Lord.
I want to feel you. You feel me? He say I should be in politics, that plenty things around here would get fixed. I say I think I am doing much more good to sell poor people reason had a beer to celebrate Christmas and New Year. But it start up again, bout this was unique. So one more time I had to speak, and here I tell him, only Saint Christopher, quarter pound of onion campaigning day. Only Saint Christopher, the other fella definitely tipsy. Only Saint Christopher, Lindsay waiting for them anytime they're ready. And all the time this country sailing up the creek. That tourist fella was right. We unique. Bye-bye. Woo. Ay, ay, ay. Good.
Good evening. The man Lord Cut. That's the cut. St. Kitts Nevis. We are very unique. I'm DJ Mauricio, and I'm coming to you live and direct from my bunker here in the Republic of St. Paul, St. Kitts. Yes, you heard it right. I'm still here in the Republic of St. Paul's, right in Sweet Sugar City, St. Kitts, having a time of my life here with the locals. And as usual, come to you every Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Try to drop in a little early this evening. Try to catch up on some stuff that we might have lost. Lot to speak about this evening, lot to update on. This conversation continues from last week. And you know what? Just in the event that you're just scrolling the web and you run into us and wondering what this program is all about, let's take a quick listen to what DJ Mauricio have to tell you.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Mauricio's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Mauricio, every Wednesday evening, Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Log on.
Yes, you heard it right. DJ Mauricio is here every Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., bringing you all the good stuff, the latest and the greatest news out of our beloved federation. But before we get any further into the conversation this evening, let's check in over there at my boy in Fountain, the man Cabo. Let's see what Cabo have for you this weekend.
Cabos, located at Fountain Village in Nevis, is the go-to spot for your Saturday treat. Tantalize your taste buds with his delectable Cabos Delicacy Goat Water. Or, if you prefer some soul food, then Cabos Punji and Fish is definitely the way to go. Call ahead and reserve at 869-663-9694. Then make your way over to Cabos and enjoy the vibrant atmosphere while you savor your delicacy. Cabos, we are not changing, we are only improving.
Food all over, food all over. You got the food all over.
You heard it right, Brother Cabo have the food all over, and Cabo now provide delivery on the island of Nevis and on the island of St. Kitts. So when you check in on Brother Carbo, just let him know that DJ Mauricio sent you. And remember to drop a tip. Let's take a quick listen to my sister Carmen, the Carmen Caterers.
Girl Sanja, you know where you can find nice fresh local food 7 days a week, one provision and all kind of thing. Girl, where? Right down there by Shellings, by Carmen Catering Services. Girl, she opposite the bus stop. Girl, and she also cater for weddings, parties, anything you want to cater for, funeral and all. Girl, and trust me, you're gonna enjoy the food. And she also selling bites on Sundays. Opposite the car shop, right down the main road. Girl, you could call 665-1494 or 663-6005 to order your food or go and pick up your food. Girl, the food that is finger licking and you get your money worth. You ain't want nothing better than that.
You hear that? That's what Sister Carmen said. And don't forget, Sister Carmen is there at Shirley down in downtown Bastia, across from the West Side Ferry Terminal, right opposite there. You check it there, Monday to Saturday from midday until around 5 p.m. And on a Sunday, don't forget to check Carmen over there in Boyd's Village, right across from the Ogawa shop. For those of you who went to Carmen's on Sunday to get your special luncheon, I'm sure you guys must have enjoyed it as much as I did. Big up to Sister Carmen for that well put together menu. I really had fun. Eat twice out of one bowl, lots of food, lots of local drinks. I just realized I forgot the cake on the table since Sunday. I wanted to ask Carmen if the cake's still good. But I really enjoy myself, and I want to thank everyone that went out and support Sister Carmen on Sunday. Let's take a quick listen to what Brother Daniel have to say to you guys.
Welcome to Strategies for Business Success, right here on 2020visionradio.com and on 102.1 FM with business development advocate Daniel Arthurton. Each week, Danny will build on a foundation to ensure your success in business. Being in business can be daunting, and Strategies for Business Success can help you avoid the pitfalls. Join Danny right here on 2020visionradio.com, on 102.1 FM, and on your other social media platforms every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. That's right, Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. The time and place for your business dreams to come true.
Yes, that Brother Danny there telling you what's happening there. And Nevis. Now let's take a quick listen to what my boy, Brother Malvin Gums there of the Spectrum Band St. Thomas have to say about the DJ.
Hey, this is Malvin from Spectrum Band, and you're listening to DJ Marisha, playing you the best in Caribbean music.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Malvin from Spectrum Band, and you're locked into DJ Marisha. Keep it locked.
Right there. As we come in and bring in my co-host here this evening, the man of the hour, coming to you live and direct from the VI there, think someplace in St. Croix. Brother Benta, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Brother Marisha, and to you and your listening audience. Thank you for having me this evening with you.
You're welcome. Well, it's not just as simple as that, every week we have new listeners online and they want to know who is that young man there and the other end next to the DJ making him look so pretty. So quick synopsis of who is Brother Benta.
Thank you, and good night all. My name is Oakland Benta, a former senator of the U.S. Virgin Islands, former chief of police of the U.S. Virgin Islands, a former vice president of a telecommunication corporation, and as well as several banks throughout the world, cell phone, cable TV, and a advisor to some of the CARICOM nations over the past several decades. And more so now with the high rise of other things that's taking place today, now been inducted back into circulation in an arena where I have provided information before 9/11. And as such, those information I provided, suggestions I made came to reality. And also today, where we are today with other movements that's taking place in the Caribbean, and spending time and analyzing some of the information we've been receiving and working very, very close with many other organizations when it deals with Interpol, Homeland Security, and all of the aspects of security for our nation and our region. I've been reinducted into the circulation, and I want to thank some of those people who had the vision to see and understood what was being said in the past that has now become a reality within our doorsteps, right at our doors, just waiting to enter to destroy the lives of many of our citizens throughout the geofencing of the Eastern Caribbean. So I'm here tonight. Is going to be one of those evenings where we're going to go very deep. Who gets upset, who is offended, stays offended. But at the end of the day, it is important for the people of the nation throughout the Caribbean to understand the game and the ploy that's being organized right under our nose without us really realizing the game that's being played. So DJ Marisha, I wait for that time when we can get in. I know we have Mr. Dwyer and some others to come on. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay special and careful attention and point your fingers at yourself, because this speaks about you and your way forward in your life along with your children and family.
Definitely. Well, Brother Benta, we're going to kick off with Dwyer's commentary as usual. I'm going to give some quick updates on what's taking place here in our beloved federation, and definitely I'll give you that opportunity to give us some regional information and whatever else, wherever we go this evening. We're going until 8 p.m. and we're giving it to you raw. We're giving it the real McCoy. We're not going to get into any spinning of any ball here this evening. So let's take a quick listen to my boy there, G.A. Dwyer Stefan.
Greetings. Let me ask you this question. Which do you think are the most influential countries in the world? Most people will say the USA, China, Russia, the UK, Germany, France, Japan. But which country is really the most influential and perhaps even the most powerful? In my opinion, the answer is none of the above. You see, having the biggest land mass, biggest population, biggest military, biggest GDP, etc., does not necessarily make a country the most influential in the world. There can be a country which does not have these things, but can manipulate those bigger countries to satisfy its own agenda, much like a 100-pound jockey influencing and controlling a 1,000-pound horse. And of course, once they cross the finish line first, the jockey and the owners do very well, but all the horse gets is some hay. And there is such a country. It's a small country, much smaller than England, France or Germany, and it rides all of them like a jockey, all of the Western powers. You all have heard me speak time and again about countries which are very small, but very prosperous and influential. Countries like Taiwan, Singapore, Switzerland, Denmark, Luxembourg, Ireland, and others. All of them less than 40,000 square miles, which in the global scheme of things is small. But none of them is the most influential country in the world. The most influential country in the world is less than 9,000 square miles in size, smaller than Haiti, and it has a population which is less than that of Haiti. But it is, in my opinion, the most influential and powerful country in the world. Now, I use Haiti as the reference point because Haiti has been a victim, punished, deprived, invaded, occupied, terrorized, and turned into a place of chaos, danger, and misery. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and the 8th poorest nation on the planet. It has been put through hell for 220 years simply because its people had the gall to fight for and win their freedom from France, in the process becoming the first black independent country in the Western Hemisphere. And for that, Haiti had to compensate France to the tune of over $21 billion US. Imagine that. The victim had to make reparation to the violator. But it's not Haiti alone that has been punished like this by the West, you know. All black countries, former European colonies, had to go through a similar hell And that had a lot to do with their standing in the world today. Victims having to make reparation to the violators. And it continues today. 12 million Congolese were slaughtered under Belgium's King Leopold. And what is known today as the Democratic Republic of Congo, despite the fact that it, in terms of mineral and natural resources, it is the richest country in Africa and one of the richest in the world in terms of economics and the quality of life. It is the poorest country in Africa, and its GDP per capita is less than 1/80th of that tiny country, which is the most influential and powerful country in the world. The West, and more recently, the Chinese, continue to rob the Republic of Congo and other countries in Africa and the Third World of resources, keeping them poor, aided and abetted by corrupt local leaders. And a lot of the profits and other benefits that accrue from this exploitation of the Congo and Haiti and other southern countries, as they call us, a lot of this goes into the hands of people who, and institutions which, have a deeply vested interest in that little country, which is the world's most influential and, in my opinion, powerful country. They have their hands in the gold, the diamonds, the minerals, and all of the wealth in the third world countries. They own the banks. They own the media. They own the sporting franchises. They own the hotels. They own the cruise lines. Its people, that country has received trillions of dollars from the West, while the countries of the third world have been robbed of trillions of dollars. Follow the money. And that little country, which is the most influential in the world, in my opinion, has a free hand to do as it pleases. Its GDP per capita is higher than every country in the Western world, with the exception of the United States. The West has given and gives money, military support, propaganda support, trillions upon trillions of dollars worth of it. The West is supporting a country that is richer than itself. What do the taxpayers in these Western countries know about that? Very little, because guess who controls the media? They eat what is given to them, the consumers, whether it be fast food or fake news or propaganda. Its people, both at home and in the diaspora, are masters of communication. They have always been. So much so that they have convinced half of the world that they are God's chosen people, and that the land where their country stands is the land which God gave to them and to them only. Now, if that central philosophy and message are not the cornerstone of arrogance and apartheid, then I don't know what is. They use the Bible to help them make their case. Now, the same Bible which tells us that it was they who caused Herod to have Jesus Christ, the Palestinian Jew, crucified. The Christians to the West swallow it up, hook, line, and sinker. This little country exercises major influence over the Western media, as I said, over industry, over politics. And nobody who is not supported by their lobbies has much of a chance of being elected to high office in any Western country. In the United States, particularly, political candidates up and down the ticket must pay regular deference to them and demonstrate undiluted loyalty to them. And whichever party wins, they win. This most influential country in the world is just 76 years old, created out of a combination of Western backing and its own terrorism, going back to the late 19th century and early 20th century, with terrorist groups such as the Stern Gang, the Irgun, the Haganah, and the Lehi, all gangs, terrorist gangs, which targeted Palestinians to drive them out, to kill them, to take away their land. Mind you, Palestinians were born there, lived there for millennia, driven out, killed. The slaughter continues. And these terrorists also targeted British personnel and British assets. They carried out assassinations, planted bombs in markets, on ships, in hotels, and so on. Some of these terrorists even became prime ministers of that country. David Ben-Gurion, Menachem Begin, who at one time was wanted by the British for terrorism, Yitzhak Shamir, and the latest in the line of terrorists who became prime minister of that country, a man called Benjamin Milkovsky, who abandoned his Eastern European name and adopted the name Netanyahu to sound more Hebrew. One of these terrorists, a man called Yaakov Dori, became the first head of the Israeli army. Israel is what we're talking about. Eastern Europeans control Israel, not the Jews from North Africa and the Middle East. In fact, there is a little bit of apartheid right inside there, in that far worse between them and the Arabs. You see, while they talk about anti-Semitism, most of them who rule that country and who influence the West are Europeans with absolutely no ethnic connection whatever to that part of the world. They're not Semites for sure, and many, if not most of them, are atheists and not genuine followers of Judaism. What they have done is to use religion to capture the imagination and aspirations of sincere followers of Judaism. And instead of looking to create a state of justice and fairness for all, Jews and Arabs, the Zionists created a state of constant tension, war, and apartheid, fully supported, encouraged, and financed by the West. Some of these Zionist terrorists, and I'm going back a little, joined the British Armed Forces to fight the Germans in World War II and gained a lot of experience. A number of them formed the elite squad of the Haganah terrorist gang, called the Palmach, which grew into tens of thousands and engaged vigorously and violently in activities designed to drive out and to kill the Palestinians. And after Israel was formed, the same Haganah terrorist gang and its Palmach was the base upon which the Israeli army was built. And a number of members of that gang took up powerful positions in succeeding governments after Israel became independent in 1948. Does the thought of gangs in that part of the world and gangs in Haiti ring any kind of bell in your mind? When independence was achieved, the same Menachem Begin announced that while Israel was now in existence, the entire homeland which he and others contended ran from the Euphrates River in Iraq to the Nile River in Egypt had not yet been fully liberated. 1948, according to them, was just the start. They don't like it when the Palestinians say from the river to the sea. But it is central to their mission from the very get-go. No two-state situation. At no time did the Zionists have any desire or intention for a two-state solution, or to live in harmony with the Arabs. None. And it used to happen before all of this, you know. Remember, a year ago, on October 7th, the Hamas committed a very, very deadly act and violent act against Israelis. Terrible, terrible act. And what followed? Over 40,000 Palestinians killed, most of them women and children. Over 120 journalists killed. Now the West would go crazy against any country in the world that kills a journalist. Worse yet, over 120 within a 12-month period. But not a peep from them. The Israeli government banned Al Jazeera from entering and covering situations in Israel. Not a peep from the West. The media is the eye for the people to see. The West believes the media is integral in the building and sustaining and protection of democracy. Israel professes to be a democracy. The West regards Israel as a democracy. But Arabs can't move around as they like. They cannot vote like the Israelis can. It is the same as it had been in South Africa under apartheid, which you ought to know was also robustly buttressed and supported by Zionist capital and Zionist resources. So the Zionist and Western propaganda machine labels Hamas and Hezbollah as terrorist groups. Now, if you enter my land where I was born and where I live, take it away, push me out, kill me, kill my mother, kill my family, take away my rights, what do? Sit by and do nothing? No, I'm not justifying the acts of October 7th, 2023, but that cannot be the trigger of all of what is happening. It's over 100 years of tyranny and terrorism. So while the West punished Haiti for fighting back against France and taking its independence against the oppressors of France, the violators of France, the West has supported the Zionists in seizing a country and calling it their own. Double standards? Has it anything to do with the color of the people in the country? The ethnicity of the people? Is Israel so geographically and strategically located so that America and the West will allow it to do as it pleases? There can be peace in that area, but not if there are warsome people governing the most powerful country in the world, aided and abetted by Western military might and dollars and media. If the region is unstable, it is because of the aggressive and murderous Zionist leadership armed to the teeth by the West. Everybody can live there peacefully. It happened before. And there are Jews living in Iraq and Iran and some of those countries. In fact, Abraham was from Iraq, a little village called Ur. It is since this fight to get your own nation. And I'm not saying that the Jewish people shouldn't have a nation, although I don't believe in religious nation states. But it's how this thing has been gone about, caused so much pain and suffering, and wasted money on weaponry and bullets and burials. So the point of distinction is, while the West, for the most part, whether by action or inaction, has encouraged terrorism to destroy Haiti, and is still doing so, it backs terrorism in the Middle East. Labels Hamas and Hezbollah and all of the Houthi and all of these people terrorists. But your terrorist might be my freedom fighter. And there was no need for the Zionists to do what they did in order to get a state. There's no need for it to be done like that. But let me tell you, the terrorists to whom I refer, the Zionist terrorists of the past, terrorism didn't end there, no. There are Zionist terrorists in Israel today as we speak. Starting with the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli army, which was born out of terrorism. Then there's a gang called the Lahava gang. Those are terrorists, Zionist terrorists. There's another gang called the Paying the Price gang, which is particularly vicious towards Arabs. There's a gang called Youths Upon the Hills gang. And there's a gang called the Jewish Fighting Organization. All of these are terrorist Zionist gangs in Israel now as we speak, taking up Palestinian territory, putting settlements, financed and supported by the West, driving out and massacring Arabs. You never hear about these things on BBC or CNN or Fox or NBC or CBS or ABC. You don't read about these things in the New York Times and the Washington Post. You don't see these things in Hollywood movies, and any stories of that area are painted a particular color. They own the propaganda machine. These Western powers take money from their citizens to maintain an unjust and murderous status quo in the Middle East. It also puts loads of money in the hands of manufacturers and sellers of weaponry. And this is at the very heart of Western economies: violence and death. Meanwhile, Netanyahu can tell America to go to hell, and they can't do him anything. He can tell Canada or England to go to hell. We will stop bombing those subhumans if and when we are ready. We'll bomb Gaza, we'll bomb Lebanon, we'll bomb Syria, we'll bomb Iran. And the West, of course, thinks that Iran is the worst thing out. That is a civilization that is thousands upon thousands of years old. We're going well. Had a good leader called Mossadegh until the West were not happy with him. And in 1953, they had a coup and got rid of him. They're not going to tell you about these things. Let me tell you this. Do you believe that Haiti or the Democratic Republic of Congo or South Africa or Venezuela or Jamaica or St. Kitts and Nevis can do what Israel has been doing? Israel has breached more sanctions, received and breached more sanctions and rules of the United Nations than every other country in the world combined. But the veto power of Western countries prevents it from paying the price. It does as it pleases. Biden or Trump or Harris or any of them is impotent to put his or her foot down with regard to the Israeli leadership. But they'll put the foot in your throat in Haiti or in Cuba or in Venezuela or in Congo. 800 military bases around the world. And some people say the mightiest military base that the United States has is Israel. So who's creating that fight? Is it the Arabs? Am I against Israel? Not at all. I want Israel to exist. But everybody must come to the table in peace and tolerance and mutual respect. The situation there is unjust and has been from the very start. And as long as that continues, there will never be peace. Now go and call me an anti-Semite. Just remember, I'm a Semite, eh? Thank you.
Yes, Brother Bent, I don't know if you want to add anything to what Brother Astafan just put there, but as a serious piece of history lesson, and I hope your online viewers are paying attention, because we have similar situation happening right here in our beloved Federation, and we're going to get into some of that in a bit as we get into some of the local issues before we go regional and international. Yes, Brother Benter.
I'll tell you, Brother Dwyer, as he's explaining, I will take individuals back to September 11th, 2021, as he's speaking about influence, and yet the calculation of how many plans were made during the time of 9/11, where we had terrorists commandeer their crafts in different parts of the United States and flew them into our own economic structure of economic growth, which is the World Trade Center, and attack our nation's capital, as well as the defense segment of the nation, which was the Pentagon. And that was a robust plan for many reasons. And to date, we've allowed for some of the things to skim over, as he says, and I agree with him, While many are pointing fingers at the United States as the strongest nation, it is not. While many would say the United States is the land of the free and the brave, every single CARICOM nation is free. Canada is free. Germany is free. So all of that was just semantics to get people's equilibrium adjusted to believing that the strongest place in the world, based on what America would do, is the United States of America. But in fact, the decision makers, the fabric makers of decisions, comes from elsewhere, where many of us are not even paying attention to when we dive into the Illuminatis and all of the underground behavior and atmospheres of who the key individuals are as far as power and who controls the realm of the community. Very interesting that Dwight wanted to speak about Africa. But there is a move, and that move, as we said last week on the BRICS, we're looking at the dynamics of how the shift of the nation is taking place, where Africa is now challenging France in taking back what's theirs, controlling the banking system in Africa. There's individuals behind that push to degrade some of the other nations and build a community of individuals who are easily manipulated in the economic world, but has the wealth to do so. And we who are within the Caribbean basin, as we get into how profound this is and how we are impacted by way of the infiltration and the infiltrators who have organized themselves to the RICO position, criminal racketeering enterprises, and how they have eluded the mask of many of us by what they have implemented, because many of us are greedy. So we wait for the rest of Brother Marisha, because we're going to get deep tonight.
All right, Brother Benter, continuing on the local scene. Last week and over the weekend, there was some serious matters here in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. And I'm going to get into that in a bit. But before we go into that, let me get this out of the way, because I know some people may not want to remember, do not want to hear me, might decide, well, why don't he drop it? I am not going to drop it, my online viewers. Today is the 9th of October. You know what today is, Mr. Benter?
I sure don't.
Well, today marked the 2 months line where we found my good partner, the late Cance Edwards, aka the Lord Black, dead in the Saddlers Mountain. He went missing on August 1st. He was found on August 9th. His funeral was on August 21st. Today marked 2 months. And for the life of me, I am still waiting to hear what is taking place with this case, because it seems as though it's still under investigation. And I do not understand. And I would hope that the good Commissioner of Police will find the time and come to the country. The good Prime Minister of the National Security, the Honorable Prime Minister Joe, he had a roundtable conversation with some journalists yesterday. I'm hearing all kind of questions being asked, but everybody seems to be staying away from this matter. This is a serious matter. If it was any of these politician family member or someone in high society who had a relative with dementia, or may I say alleged dementia, because these days they give you a lawyer letter. A patient that allegedly had dementia in a nursing home for some 4 years plus under the care of a doctor was allowed to walk out of that facility unchecked, did not return, and was reported missing on the 1st of August. I was part of the team coordinating to find that patient, where we found that patient on the 9th of August in the Saddlers Mountain. I have been doing a lot of checks and balances on the situation. And from all aspects, they're telling me there is no laws on the books. There's no legislation that governs these homes. And as a citizen of this beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, as a family member who had a family in that home, I wrote my complaint to the Department of Health. more than 2 weeks ago. Still waiting for a response. Still waiting on the investigation. Still waiting to hear from the AG. Still waiting to hear from the Commissioner of Police. Still waiting to hear from the Ministry of Health. What are being done to ensure that this situation does not happen to anyone else? I see them going to Parliament and create all kinds of laws and get it with 3 readings in the same day and pass it for their convenience. Well, this health situation is important to me and the rest of the country. You know? It's a very serious matter. And who don't want to take it serious is up to them. Instead of me getting a letter from the good doctor thanking me for coordinating the search, thanking me for assisting in finding my partner and bringing him back to his family and give them closure in this regard, instead I get a lawyer letter coming from the High Court bailiff. That is the thanks I got from this good doctor. And then they're going to send me a letter, want me to shut up. I mustn't talk the things then. Well, I'll be talking until somebody zip up my mouth, you know. Because I'm not talking any lies. I'm not spreading any propaganda. I'm presenting the facts. And on this 2-month anniversary, I am calling on the powers that be. Honorable Prime Minister Joe, you are the Minister of Health. You are the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. You are the Minister of National Security. We need some answers on this matter. I'm calling on you and I'm calling on your ministry to give us some answers. Because I'm not going to stop until we get some answers. I am not going to stop until we get some laws in place for these homes around the country. So I just want everybody to understand that. So now that I put that out there, I want to continue to send prayers out there to Edward's family, the kids, the brothers, the sisters. I wish God blessings on you all to continue, because I will be coming here weekly, expecting to get some positive response from the powers that be. Now, last week there was a conversation going viral surrounding a customs officer via social media. Apparently, according to the message from that officer, members of the forces showed up at his job and asked him to turn over his licensed revolver without any kind of warning. Since then, I understand that he went back and posted something and said that he was summoned to the Commissioner of Police office sometime, I guess, last week. And there was an apology and his revolver was returned. Nevertheless, we cannot allow these individuals who feel that they have all the power in the world, and now that they're elected into office, that you lose your speech, you lose your freedom, you lose your rights. There are laws out there, we need to respect the laws. And for some people, St. Kitts Nevis is a lawless country. But for some other people, you can't open your eyes, because if you open your eyes, you're going to be put down. You can't open your mouth. You open your mouth, you're going to be getting a letter tossing you some 200,000, 300,000. Though they know you can't afford to buy $1.50 bread. They want you to pay 150,000 in 21 days. This is the kind of things that we're dealing with here. And this is the reality. And DJ Marish are going to come here and talk about it. Some of them who was out there on this side not saying nothing during the campaign when things was going on bad here. We was in a state where people had afraid to speak to me, afraid to speak to each other. People get arrested for carrying placards in Bastille. People get tear gas, and there was no one in the country. But today, these same people have a lot to say, and you must open your mouth. So I'm going to play a little clip here by my boy, Moila Backstreamer. He caught my attention, because Moila Backstreamer is one of those guys. It's clear to say he's a member of the PAM, People's Action Movement. He ran in district number 3 for the PAM in the last general election 2022. But my conversation with the Milo box have always been on a neutral and respectful level. And what the Milo box is saying makes sense. People who was not there for the fight to change government today are going to come and tell you because they get a little post. Do you know who they is? Do you know my position? Want to run all over you and not giving you the respect that is due. We ain't going to tolerate that, you know. Not under my watch. We are here to respect and support the government. I was told during my campaign of 2022 to hold a foot to the fire. Me no light no match yet. Me no turn on the gas yet. And I'm using natural gas when I turn it on. Me not use no propane. All I want them to do is to pay attention to what they campaign on. You have a manifesto. The people want to know. The people want to hear from you. Turn on your all phones. To make all your numbers them change. Or you're too busy to talk to people. And I've told you all before. When you all are accessible, I will let the people know that you're accessible. And when you are inaccessible, just the same, I will let the people know. If the people not happy, the DJ not happy. No matter how good the DJ is doing, no matter how good the DJ are doing, if the people on the street, if the poor people are not doing well, DJ Marisha is not well. And I want you all to understand that. So let's take a quick listen to the man, Brother Milobox.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Well, that is a question that I realize that a lot of persons in government appointed positions love to come and ask people as a way of trying around the weight, right? Inflating their importance, trying to get people to bend over backwards, trying to make people tremble in the boots, trying to make people bow down to them. And that will get to me. And I want to say to everybody out there, no matter where you are working, anytime anybody in a boastful or an authoritative way come and ask you that question, I say them, I don't care who the heck you be. This is the policy, or this is what you are supposed to do, and I cannot get no instruction from you if I do not know who sent you, and my boss ain't telling me nothing. So you go tell my boss, and then my boss come and tell me. Because I understand that somebody came to somewhere where I was the other day and went up and asked that question, you know. And I said, well, why y'all didn't call me? And they said, boy, Milo, boy, me, no, because I know if we had called you, it would have been a different thing. And it would have been a different thing, I can tell you that. Because it's not like even like government ministers, you know. These people who got position, were appointed, believe that they're stronger than Samson. Believe that they got more strength and more authority than the politicians themselves who appointed them. With a damn forwardness asking people if people know who they are. Who the heck are you? Who the heck are you? Somebody who benefiting because of politics, and if the government change tomorrow, are you going back down shit street? And I come asking people that kind of question. I tell my people out there, anytime any one of these damn jokers come in front of you with a question, do you know who I am? Tell them fire the yampy pissy ass. Don't deal with them. Eh? Them they like the telephone them who used to be in the circus and in the square. Out of order. Out of order. Are you done with them kind of foolishness? Stop believing that all of a sudden is above people. But if people know who you are. Who are you be? Mere mortal. Mere mortal is who you all are. With limited time on God's green earth.
So stop going so. Stop asking people that kind of mumu, foolish, dumb, Nancy, yampy question. Boy, people know who I be. But I'm really cooping for somebody to come in front of me and ask me that day, you know. I'm cooping for somebody to come and trying to show and wait on me, you know. But they ain't gonna do it because they know me. They know me. They know me.
So, Brother Benta, this is what is happening in our beloved federation. Some people happen to get an opportunity because of a change of government. They don't understand the struggle. And they try to wait around disrespecting people. I've seen it. And if this government does not watch themselves, election is around the corner, you know. If they do not watch themselves, election is around the corner. Because these ain't the days where people sit down for 5 years and accept the nonsense, you know. People will stand up today. They had a test run in 22. And people will stand up today. So I would hope they're paying attention. Now, yesterday, the Prime Minister had a roundtable conversation with some journalists. And there was some question that is asked. The Prime Minister, whenever he travels, he always come back and give updates. Now, I am of the view, these politicians, you know, when they come to give updates, they give you updates on what they want you to know. Not everything that they might have done. Our conversation. Because for months now, we are hearing matters about CARICOM and becoming a single state. And I hear nothing about that for months. This went on, I think, from back in March, April. And we're going to touch that in a bit. It's going to take some time up, so we're going to discuss that in a bit. But at the round table, there was a journalist asked the Prime Minister a question that they was made to understand. And I don't want to mess up the question because I ain't going to even waste time play the clip tonight. The concern was about the overdue expansion wing at the Alexandria Hospital in Nevis. Did the Premier reach out to the Prime Minister about help for that? Or did the Premier just ask for help for the airport expansion? According to the Prime Minister's response, I personally, I could say to you, Prime Minister Joe, no disrespect, you know I got mad love for you. Your response in regards to the Alexandria Hospital question is not a good response. As the Minister of Health of the beloved, this beloved federation, as the Minister of Health for St. Kitts Nevis, as the Minister of Health for St. Kitts, the response that you are not privy to the information in regards to the Alexandria Hospital, Mr. Prime Minister, this matter been going on for more than 8 years. I was part of your campaigning about many things. And I am pretty sure that somewhere along the line, you pick up some conversation about the Alexandria Hospital. And if you and the Premier of Nevis is having conversation about geothermal and monies for expansion for the airport, I think you as the Minister of Health and the kind person that I know you to be, the caring person that I know you to be, I don't see why a conversation never strike up about the Alexandria Hospital, Mr. Prime Minister. I am very, very much disappointed that that conversation never took place. And I'm going by what you are saying, that you're not privy to the information in regards to that hospital. You as the Prime Minister, as the Minister of Health, should have concern about what's taking place with that hospital wing, that I understand, as they would say, allegedly started with an $8 million estimate, ended up with a $19 million, allegedly. Started in the, what is 2017, with an expectation finish, an expected date, a completion date of 2019. Well, we have been hearing the back and forth and the task back and forth from 2017 to now. The wall them that they throw up with nothing done on the interior, they paint it and make it look like the best looking building in the entire Nevis. In their campaign, if I'm not mistaken, I heard them talking about the hospital was ready to go, just to outfit it. But inside the place, I understand they got grass growing in there. And if all these millions were spent from 2017 to now 2024, Mr. Prime Minister, as the Minister of Health, as the Prime Minister of the Federation, and the Premier coming to you asking you about money for expansion of the airport, why couldn't you just simply ask this question for the DJ? I've been asking the question, and you listen to my program, Mr. Prime Minister. You hear me ask this question all the time, so you could help me out. Ask the good Premier what's going on at the Alexandria Hospital. According to him, petitions were supposed to be coming to Nevis to get service of how good of a job they were doing at the Alexandria. It's going on almost 8 years. Well, somebody said he initially started in 2014. Well, I only know about 2017, but Ivor Henry. And the thing about it is, I got to use the word ledge these days because he'll allow your letters to come left, right, and center. But I want the Prime Minister to understand that if nobody else in the Federation or nobody else in St. Kitts concerned about what's going on at the Alexandria, DJ Marisha is concerned. I want to know. I would like to know. So, Mr. Prime Minister, from me to you, your next opportunity speaking with the Premier of Nevis, we need some updates on the Alexandria Hospital. Now, let's move on to the airport expansion. Again, it appears that our people in this lovely federation not really paying attention to what's going on, you know. Not too long ago, if I am not mistaken, it was alleged again, I do not know how true it is, a former minister from the NIA who got booted out at the elections, at the polls in 22, was given an advisory position, supposed to be advising the Premier on investment, and was in charge of that expansion of the airport there, the Van Samry. As a matter of fact, there has been several public consultation with the general public. I look at some of them online because there was an investor who supposedly was putting up some money to pay for that expansion of the airport. Well, it's been a while, I haven't heard about this investor. And if the people of Nevis put so much pressure on the investor that he decided to pull out, let the people know. Let the people know what's going on with that investor, because now the Prime Minister has confirmed that yes, the Premier had approached the federal cabinet or the federal government for assistance to deal with the expansion of the airport, and they have agreed to that. They also agreed to the geothermal. So I did a little digging because I wanted to know when the Prime Minister says he don't want to cross the road and get caught up in nothing that is germane to the NIA. He wants to respect whatever. I did some investigation and found out what he was saying and the responsibility of the Premier, the NIA. And he was correct in the fact that the NIA is responsible as the local government for health, for the airport, amongst other things. So I went and spoke to a good friend of mine, someone who is senior to me, who understands the Constitution and would put some clarity to my questioning. So basically, what I came up with is that the federal government is responsible for national security for the entire federation. The national security, including the defense force, the police, fire and rescue, prison, customs and border security, and all of that good stuff. I am not sure. The jury is out on this one. I have to find out if it's a fact that the Nevis Island administration pays for their own customs officers. Because if customs is on the national security, then that should be on the federal budget and not the local NIA. I got to look into that. Something else I found out is that there's only one comptroller of customs for the entire federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, which tells you the level of responsibility of the federal government. The federal government is also responsible for civil aviation. So when it comes to the airport, that might explain why the Prime Minister and his cabinet or the federal government got involved in this conversation. I do not know. But there's so many questions to be asked that I'm asking my good Prime Minister, you know. You all campaigning a lot of things. Your manifesto was a lovely manifesto. You all had good intentions, and I think you all still do for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. But if you all got in there and realized whatever you all met, you cannot fulfill these promises, come and tell the people the real deal. We are sensible people. We understand. Don't wait until campaign season come and telling us about the farm administration, you know. Because I told you all from day one, when you all go in there, whatever you all find, come and tell the people. If you all come and tell the people what you all find, it become your problem. And DJ Maurice is not a very forgiving person when you mash me up. Accident, I accept. But when it's self-inflicted, which means you're winful. You was trying to bullshit me. And I don't want nobody bullshit me because I'm not going to bullshit you all. You are going to know how I feel. I think everybody knows my position right now. Timothy never again as Prime Minister. That's my mission. That's my campaign. But you guys in office, you all have to do the right thing for the people. Now we shall not spin for nobody, you know. Me in a tap. I prefer to sit down on the road by Mr. Well shop and drink a magnum with them guys. Play a game of domino. Than to be out there bullshitting my people, you know. Me ain't gonna lie to my people, me ain't gonna lie for nobody. So I'm talking to you all straight. So Mr. PM, I expected a better explanation when it comes to the Alexandria Hospital. And I expect you to come back and clean it up. As I told you all before, you all could have talked to me in private, where we can have a good conversation. I could give my ideas respectfully, or we're going to talk on this forum. Either way, Maurice are going to talk. Maurice and I shut up. So the ball is in your all court. We do it in public, or we do it in private. We don't have a problem with it. And this program will continue each and every Wednesday, God willing, as long as I got good health and strength. Even if I have to get a plug in under somebody's boat to carry this program, it's going to continue. You understand? So when I see DJ Maurice come in on a Wednesday evening, talking the things there, I ain't cussing nobody, you know. I want you all to know I am consistent. Because come campaign season, when the good DJ come here, I'm coming to tell the people the same thing. Give them another chance, I'll get rid of them. And if I am not satisfied with what the people are telling me, I am for the people. I am not one of them who for party. I am not one of them who for politician. We could be friends, but if you're wrong, you're wrong. Or your campaign say, you got the answer. Or you could do the job. Well, sure, the DJ, you all could do the job, because right now, you are losing some points with me. Simple meeting, you all cannot be found to follow up on conversations. People are crying out. Low-hanging fruits that can be dealt with are not dealt with. The ministers are more concerned about partying. You all are good party planners. But it's not about keeping a party at the Marriott for teachers. Well, you got preschools, daycares, teachers, and students suffering and need help and cannot get it. That money you all spent last Saturday at the Marriott to give the teachers a good time, or you should have split the money up and give a couple thousand to the daycare them as supplementary monies. That money, and then it got to be a big piece of money you all paid the Marriott last Saturday. That money, because times are hard, should have been split up and given to those daycares and those preschools let they help out their students. But you know what? The party is more important too. In my view, the Minister of Education to show themselves and dress up and act like the big thing. Well, DJ Marisha, them things don't impress DJ Marisha, you know. Me never like dress up yet. Back in the days when I was DJing for weddings, funerals, parties, whatever, if they required I put on a tie, from the time I put on the first song, the first record, them days was 12-inch and 33 and 45s. The song don't finish the tie some places, the jacket is someplace. I don't care about dressing up. So you all ain't impressing me. Let's take care of the people. But Brenta, before I give you the opportunity to come in, last week I played a clip. Well, several clips, 3 clips. Two was from the former Prime Minister and current national hero, our only living national hero. And I also played a clip from Premier Brantley. Well, I got a call last week. The clip was sent to me, cut. We got some good editors out there, and whoever edit this clip, if you're online, give me a call. I want to get you on the team because you guys are very good with your work, and I like to have good people around me. This person apparently edit the clip, take off the clip from Premier Brantley, and they're saying I cussing the government. So my online viewership, you all know when I talk meetings, them I bring me receipts. So let's take a listen to this clip. It's from last Wednesday. Some of you online might have heard it. So I'm going to play it in its entirety. And I want all you to know, for the record, who wondering, no. DJ Marisha is not against Dr. Joe. DJ Marisha is not against the Labour Party. DJ Marisha is not cussing the government. DJ Marisha is telling them, I want them to be focused to take care of the people. That's what they campaign on. And I will come here weekly and continue to do this. Who don't like it? My good boy, Mr. Elman Hollis, I must tell you tough. So let's take a quick listen, but Benta will come right back to you. Going back to some of those clips. And I'm going to head in a bit because you're not familiar with some of these things. Because too much nonsense goes on in this federation and people seem to have a very short memory. With everything that we went through in the last 7 years, I'm hearing people out there crying out today, we want back Timothy. Want back Timothy for what? We got our only living national hero, the first Prime Minister of this federation. You saw Honorable Dr. Alphonse Simons. On the eve of the 2022 federal elections, he came out and gave some statements at a press conference. And then he came with those statements thinking he was trying to help his party, the People's Action Movement. But in essence, he turned off people and educate people. So let's take a quick listen to these statements.
When I decided to support the efforts of the Team Unity Alliance, I did so in order to get rid of Denzel Douglas. We succeeded. I took that decision also because of the opportunity to change the political culture of St. Kitts and Nevis and to end the political polarization which has plagued us. That is still my mission. Actually, Pan and PLP people were getting along pretty well. The problem was, and still is, Timothy Harris. The other reasons I supported the alliance in 2015 was that I wanted our government to develop the country for the benefit of all our people in a fair and just manner. And finally, I wanted us as a country to return integrity and accountability to our government. But Timothy Harris destroyed all those plans. The coalition was dissolved because of two reasons, and Timothy Harris is to blame for both. The reasons were greed to become wealthy. The second was his continued system of undermining all his colleagues. As Minister of Finance, he refused to fund many projects and programs, even though they were approved by Cabinet. This caused supporters to feel that it was the PAM ministers who were not acting. But although the PAM ministers were fighting for their people, the Minister of Finance kept refusing or delaying to support their projects. As Sean Richards once said, he, Timothy, would look them in the eye and say yes, and next day begin the process of undermining them. Not just Sean and Pam, not just Mark and CCM, but even the other PLP minister was undermined by her leader. His sole purpose was to make them look bad in the eyes of the public and in the eyes of their party supporters. But behind their backs, he plotted to make himself look like the savior. He wanted everyone to praise him. He did not want his ministers to get any credit. Everything must be about Timothy. They tried quietly for years, trying to hash out their disagreement privately, but without success. The situation got worse, but he continued to ignore them. They tried again late last year and again in January this year, but again, Harris ignored their concerns. They wrote to him for discussions, but he ignored their concerns and refused to negotiate with them. Or he said he couldn't diminish the office of the Prime Minister, failing to recognize that they made him Prime Minister. He proceeded to kick down the ladder by which he had ascended. It was only after all of these efforts failed to resolve the differences that the decision had to be made to dissolve the partnership. The 6 representatives were left with no alternative but to take their case to the people, because it was the people who elected them. Today, I am very proud of Sean Richards and Mark Grantley and the other 4 MPs who took a stand. Eugene Hamilton once told me that he warned Sean that Timothy was undermining him and would throw him under the bus. If Sean had not moved when he did, in 3 years' time, there would have been no problem. Sean had to move to save the country and to save his party. Permit me now to explain why you cannot support Dr. Timothy Harris and his Labour Party. The first reason is his slate of candidates. Have you ever asked yourself which portfolios each of them would serve in if they succeed in stealing the elections? Can you imagine any one of Timothy's candidates being sent abroad to the European Union to deal with such a crucial issue like trying to save our CBI program? Not one of them. As for Timothy, you know he is afraid to go because he would have some serious questions to answer. Think of it. If Timothy Harris is returned to office, you will witness a massive scale of victimization that this country has never seen. Thousands would be fired from their jobs. They would harass you and terrorize you. Corruption in government would increase, and so would nepotism, as friends and family were given priority in this country. Keep in mind, he wants to get back into office to finish the prison and to allow the family to make millions and millions. Well, you just get a chance to be unpacked and stay. You must stop them. The fourth and fifth reasons are about Harris's appetite for betrayal. These will shock you, but will help you to decide, to see his trail of deceit. Harris was in the Labour cabinet of Prime Minister Dr. Denzel Douglas for 18 years. Even though his former colleagues knew he could not be trusted, he remained in their fold, and they kept quiet about his ways. I too saw signs that he could not be trusted when he eventually teamed up with Pam and CCM. Everyone that he has had as a partner, even those who formed the PLP with him, eventually fell out with him. And it is always for the same reasons: distrust and betrayal. During the past 7 years of the former Team Unity government, I remained cordial but careful with Harris, because I knew that betrayal and vindictiveness remained a part of his nature. He betrayed CCM, he betrayed PAM, he betrayed the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and he also had a history of betraying the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Harris has been betraying PAM and its members of cabinet from the first day they took office in 2015. Much of it we only found out later. But if PAM thinks Harris betrayed them, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party supporters should also know that he spent many years plotting against them. Here is a piece of history that most of you did not know about, but it is a history that would convince you that no one should and no one could trust the outgoing Prime Minister. What I am about to tell you, I don't think that even Dr. Denzel Douglas knew about it. Most of you would remember the morning after the election of 2010, when Prime Minister Denzel Douglas went to Government House to have his entire cabinet sworn in, as was the custom in those days. When Dr. Douglas looked around for Timothy Harris, Timothy was not there. He was absent because he was working on a plan to give Douglas the shock of his life. Dr. Harris was absent because he was trying to put together a coalition to get rid of Douglas and to make himself Prime Minister. How do I know this? Earlier that morning, I received a call from an intermediary of Timothy Harris. The intermediary was someone that he thought I would listen to. The message was to ask me to talk to Mr. Joseph Parry, who was then the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, NRP. Harris wanted to ask Joseph Parry to talk to his successful candidate, Mr. Patrice Nisbet, and to ask Mr. Nisbet not to rush into any association with Dr. Denzel Douglas, because he, Timothy, was working on a plan to form a government. The message also suggested that there was a possibility that Pam could be in the government rather than in opposition, if Parry agreed to convince Patrice Nisbet not to work with Douglas. Mr. Parry was not interested, so he rejected the suggestion. It was only then that Timothy Harris eventually returned
to the Douglas fold and was sworn in. So that was after the 2010 election. Now let us examine what Harris did 10 years later, following the 2020 elections. After the 2020 polls, Timothy Harris decided that he did not want Juicy Byron again as Attorney General. Yes, Timothy did not want Juicy Byron as Attorney General. He contacted and asked a prominent member of PAM to recommend someone who could replace Byron. Harris said Byron was lazy and incompetent. I was consulted by the member of PAM, but after discussion, we decided not to submit any names. Harris then rushed to get himself sworn in, leaving Juicy dangling in uncertainty. Many of you would recall that unlike previous years, no Attorney General was sworn in 2020 when the Prime Minister took his oath. The reason is what I have just told you. Eventually, because no suggestions were given to Harris to replace Byron, Byron was eventually sworn in. Someone should tell the Attorney General that he was being betrayed by Timothy because he may not have known. Of course, he continued to smile with you and butter you up juicy. But he did not want you. Instead, he made you think it was your PAM colleagues who wanted you out. No, it was not. We kept you on. Two other reasons you cannot support the Harris group relate to his old ways of victimization. When Labour came into power in 1995, Harris became, for the first time, a Minister of Government in the Denzil Douglas administration. Harris immediately went on a victimization spree. The first man he marked was a farmer named Ben Phipps of Molyneux. His wife was Doreen Phipps, a well-known PAM activist and member. Timothy went on a rampage. Their farm was the family's means of sustenance and livelihood. Like so many other farmers in the area, Ben Phipps paid the prescribed rental for the land regularly and on time. Unceremoniously, Timothy Harris took away the land from Ben Phipps, moved in the bulldozers, and destroyed the crops that were growing and deprived the Phipps family of their livelihood. Ben Phipps pined away, and before the next election in 2000, Ben Phipps was dead. Some say he died of a broken heart. A few years later, his wife Doreen also died. Despite the loss of their parents, the family of Ben and Doreen Phipps still found it in their hearts to forgive Timothy. He went to them on his knees with water in the eye, begging for forgiveness. Like good Christians, they forgave him because even the dying thief on the cross received forgiveness. And still, Harris continued his ways of betrayal. The next man he marked was Pastor Kelvin Jones of the Mount Carmel Baptist Church at Opoborio. Pastor Jones had bought land from the government to build his home. Timothy Harris decided to take back part of Pastor Jones' land. He sent in the bulldozer supported by the army. They were given firm instructions to tolerate no opposition and to shoot if necessary. This is the true nature and the political DNA of Timothy Harris. He would pretend in your presence but would not hesitate to stab you in the back. So despite the many visits to church every Sunday, his heart is not pure and it is not in the right place. Right now, Timothy Harris and his accomplices are trying to do two things. They are trying to corrupt the electoral process, and they are trying to steal and buy the election. We have no choice. We the people have no choice but to vote for the PAM CCM team under the leadership of the Honorable Sean Richards. For the benefit of future generations, this present danger to our democracy, Timothy Harris, must be removed with the greatest urgency. All hands must be on board. We have a nation to save. Timothy Sylvester Harris is not just bad for PAM. He's not just bad for Labour. He's not just bad for Nevis. Timothy Harris is just plain old bad for this country. He has endangered the source of our financial stability, which is our CBI program. If the millions from this program dry up, we are all in trouble. Timothy Harris must be stopped. No. How do we stop him? Here is how. We, the people, must reject all of his candidates, including him. We must all vote for the PAM and CCM, because that way lies the salvation of our federation.
Well, the situation here with this one, Brother Benta, is that listening to the good old Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Harris, Prime Minister Simon, sorry, speaking about Harris. It would be nice if the Honorable National Hero could tell us why he terminated his Deputy Prime Minister some years ago, and all fools there, understand, and didn't come and tell the nation anything up to now. I think this was back in the 90s when he sent home his Deputy Prime Minister and said he don't have to give an explanation. But in addition to that clip from last week, the person that edited that clip also took out this one. While the national hero is telling us about how bad the former Prime Minister was, here is the current Premier of Nevis telling us how good the same.
People come and they whisper foolishness in your ear, telling that's foolishness because St. Kitts and Nevis is enjoying an unprecedented time of prosperity. Unprecedented time of prosperity. The relationship, let me just take 2 minutes, Brother Lindsay, just to say that the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has never been better. It is the best. It is the best that we have seen. The best that we have seen. It is because of the closeness of that relationship that I could stand here tonight in Molyneux and speak to you. Speak to you as a national of this country, as part of the Team Unity administration. And if Vance Amory was here, he would have done similarly, because we are now bound together in a very tangible and important way as we advance the interests of the country. Now in Nevis, for the first time, people are not seeing those age-old distinctions that we used to have. If you want a job and a job is at Park Hyatt, people go on Park Hyatt to work. Wherever work is in the country, people are saying, I am a national of this country and I'm taking advantage of that. People of St. Kitts are taking advantage of opportunities in Nevis and vice versa. You know why? Ultimately, we are two islands, one paradise. Two islands, but one country. And we need to continue to ensure that all of our people benefit from all that we have to offer as a country. I thank the Honorable Prime Minister. I thank Team Unity and the vision that went into this. I have said so many times right in St. Kitts that we come from disparate places and disparate backgrounds. When I was in opposition, another man used to talk as hard to me as Timothy Harris when he talking from over there. Talk hard, I used to afraid him because you know he big. So to come from there to where we are now says to you that we were able to put away those things and come together. Put away those things and come together for the benefit of the people of Nevis. Thank you.
Well, Brother Benter, I'm going to drop a track here, because in St. Kitts Nevis, the politics is our problem, eh? The politics is killing the people. They're not paying attention, Their mental capacity is focused on party politics and not the issues. So I'm going to ask my boy Elimat to just soothe the moment, and then I want you to come in and let's continue this conversation. No, wrong one. No, wrong one, Brother Starship. I'm not looking for you. I am looking for my boy Elimat. What are you doing up there? I'm looking for politics killing me, Brother Starship. So let's go back to look for my boy Elimat.
Observing the running here in this country, I see corruption peering at me. We complained about the former administration. Now we face a worsening situation. It's many years since the courthouse burned down. They raffle along, pick up money from all around. Well, I believe they go build it back now that election joy is near. But as of now, the wreckage is still there.
But if a labor man was in charge of this project,
he would have lose his job and perhaps his self-respect.
But because he's one of their own,
they allow such complacency to ruin this country. People,
politics killing me.
You can't get a job with big education unless you worship the politician. If you're a pretty woman, oh God, you got it worse. Before you start to work, they must make love to you first. When election come, politicians low and humble, but when they win, they become inaccessible. And if they are doing something wrong and you dare to open your mouth, you got to leave St. Kitts or get knocked out.
And they want to know who is this that you vote for.
Now that's the first question to get the smallest favor.
They walking and playing God,
invading your privacy. I get so angry to see
politics killing we.
Oh yeah, yeah. They say baby Rabin was a greedy man, but he can't touch the politician. It's all kind of millions houses and land. They take you without any question. Just the other day, there was a big scandal. 100,000 they paid for one rental. Well, as the government of this land, you get in your vehicle duty free. Well, if it's that kind of money, you could have buy more than 3. So they fool and they rip us off without mercy. They pay the less taxes. That is, if any. They don't really love this country. As far as I could see, they could vex with me, but politics killing we. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
How it go?
Yes, they do me bad. They damn near kill me. Why? Just because I sing and say what I see. They stop me from playing. Anywhere I go, they mash up me livelihood and me family. Just so, don't mind. Our hospital is in need of a repair. They don't mind, cause they go where to get health care. Our police force lacks discipline, and the civil service shaky. Now look how sugarcane is a dying industry. Now they're fighting amongst themselves in the open. As God is our judge, that is bound to happen. Well, look how they fire their deputy, kick him out of the old party. Please wake up and see politics killing we.
Yeah, Brother Benter, that song was under the former Prime administration. The King Element really went on bad in that year. They fired the deputy and said they don't have to send nothing to the country up until now. I think that is more than 20 years ago. We still haven't heard from them why they fired the deputy prime minister. Tap your screen, open your mic there, Brother Benter. Well, sorry for having you on hold for so long, but I had to deliver some information from the local scene. Now, whatever comments you have, add your comments, and I gave you a job, I send you to do some investigation. So I hope you have some reporting for the online viewers tonight.
I sure do. I must say that I am very poised in listening very candidly to a lot of the statement. And I want to take it to another level where we want to remove the citizens or the citizenry of our germane geofencing that we live in. But don't understand really and truly, as I listen to these things, I get sick to my stomach. Brother Marisha, when you have people that you took an office to serve and take care of, and you use the insolence and sometimes they're not aware of directions by others to formulate your own livelihood. You've forgotten about your own people in so many ways. And I tell you, while I go through this, and I really cringe at listening to ministers as well as senators and governors of the U.S. Virgin Islands and all through the OECS and on the CARICOM, and knowing better, and we should know better, that we fell into certain traps that's before us that's going to plague us within short order. I'll take you back to the Grenada in the year 1983. Going back to that period, in that time frame, so many things has taken place when Grenada was invaded by Cuba. And what we're doing here today, by a program that was designed and created for a purpose, that has been infiltrated by individuals who understand it better than us. And they're using the fabric of the ignorance of our ministers, senators, and governors in many places to get away with what they're doing to the back door of a plan that started way before you and I or grandparents were born, going back to the Ming and Ying dynasty. And through that, so many of the cultures, as far as what we were accustomed to. But when poverty became the reign for many of us from whence we came, many of us fall in line to want to be famed with money and wealth. Forgotten from whence we came and began to do things for ourselves that we will enrich ourselves at the backs of our own people. But this program, or the programs, as they move forward, became an icon created to Canada. That's how this began with the CBI. And what has been done through the CBI program is considered what you call a non-money bill. A money bill is one that goes through the legislature where taxes and so forth are created. A non-money bill, as is structured under the CBI program, it entails certain things to be done by individuals who participate in the program to enhance where you live, your citizens, the lives of those of whom you represent. But what became was a master plan as far as how much money politically they can give to the candidates without any question. It's a non-money bill. And the germane of this is, and all of them, and I tell you, I cringe and I listen as I do my investigation and I study, it becomes more and more appalling for what's taking place. I go to the MSR, which is a lawsuit against many of our Caribbean islands, and many more will join in the ranks. And I want to take our people to a segment of things so they understand, as this case is filed within the United States, why it has precedents there based on what we have created upon ourselves as a nation. You see, when the programs were created, it was created to help your people grow. And what we should go back to remember as I speak about 1983 with Grenada invasion, the place of which we bellowed and cried to by way of Eugenie Charles and many for help for our Caribbean brothers and sisters was to then President Ronald Reagan when they entered into Cuba to defend our own constituents of the OECS nations by way of sending the first and most ultimate force, and we call it the U.S. operation, which they considered Urgent Fury, which was the name of that operation when it went in October 2025 of 1983. Because here came the takeover where none of the other OECS countries took a step in to defend because we were locked into Cuba. Now we locked into Venezuela under Maduro. And all that's going on there with certain aspects, I'm bringing you from one place to the other so you understand how detrimental this thing is. And as you spoke about CARICOM moving towards CARIPAS, in other words, where all the Caribbean nations are going to merge into one as far as open doors. And the handlers of these operations, who are they? And how do we look at how it's going to be handled when we come to population diversification into a region that's doing significantly well by those who have the struggles and the fight to survive because of their ministers who run their government that can't take care of them. Then we saturate another venue that's doing well, and then that venue becomes saturated by way of our schools, our hospitals, our economic structure, and how do we now encompass taking care of those who are residents of that territory and keep the strength of that territory to a level while you're trying to supply on your economic shortfalls because you're saturated. This thing going forward, where we look at what's going on with the other nations that's infiltrating our Caribbean nations, and all because of a dollar and how they've profited. And with the MSR lawsuit against the individuals in government, past and present, and actually suing these individuals on behalf of the people of the different countries and asking the residents to join the lawsuit in reference to protecting themselves, with through the CBI program as a non-money bill, what your government and governments and ministers should have been doing through that bill is providing dividends to the citizens of the country. And dividends mean this. If it is that you're saying this is the amount you're charging to be able to become a citizen of my nation, and I'm a citizen, and you're coming into my foliage and my community where you're submitting a certain sort of revenues to the territory, then the government should have created what you call an escrow account, if will, which they have. We're going to break down these escrow accounts. And they should have created a body, an organization that dealt or deals with those funds in an investment. And through the investment, that every citizen on record, not those who are there under the program, the CBI program, but every citizen of that nation, whether you live in the region or you're abroad, but you still have your citizenship of that territory or country, that the government, through the program they create in an investment program in the stocks or bonds or whatever market you put it in, that every single citizen receive what you call dividends, 12%. 12% of that every year is subtracted to take care of the residents, and then thereby every year the citizens of that territory receives a dividend. You call it royalty. That's not being done. What they've done is they've utilized the market and realized how it's profitable, and they move in a direction under a non-money bill to encompass their riches for themselves by dictating whatever it is you're charging for the program. But because of the way it's structured politically, they can say if it's 200,000, pay for the program for 100,000, but give me 900,000, or give me $1 million, or give me 5. And a lot of these people are willing to do it because they're looking for the commodity to get into a region where it's closer to certain things so that they can move on to the next chapter. Then, when you have under the program over some 45,000 and more of these individuals who in the program, and you look at your national scale as far as your population, and then you begin to question who are really the true citizens of your nation of St. Kitts and Nevis in the majority. In the majority. And then if it comes to push or pull, that they have the categories and all the instruments given and afforded to them by your own ministers, that they could come in and take over your government because they have the votes. They have the votes through the program they have. Because it's not just the person alone that comes in with the program. It is all of their siblings and so forth that carry along with them to be part of the national history of getting the citizen by investment. And why we're thinking in a direction, it was overseen, and now I'll say to you, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is not just because this MSR has created a lawsuit under the law of 1782. It's a law that's used by 8 corporations when there's issues concerning criteria of law being followed. You take it to another level under the treaty. And how this applies to the territory, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be aware that this is in the right court, in the US court, because of what was done. And because of what was done, it created the offspring of so many other things that impacts the nation by way of the banks that are involved, or what you call OCC banks. OCC banks are banks that has international ties. But the funds that goes into these OCC banks in the United States are under US currency. Now you have this whole investigation. It's not just that the lawsuit is what I'm looking at, you know. I'm looking at involvement of the Central Intelligence Agency. I'm looking at involvement of the US Secret Service. I'm looking at US Treasury, and I'm looking at Department of Homeland Security and National Security, who are now in this matter. Ministers, do you know that? Well, you sit and you look at it and premise yourself on a face that think that this lawsuit only comprised of an individual who was filing a lawsuit against the country. You have invoked banks who are now under scrutiny under the OCC, that they now have to make correction, that they're going to settle their portion of this lawsuit immediately. So in the United States, we have what they call FDIC banks. And the FDIC banks, as it's structured, are a little mom and pop bank that open a bank that says, okay, and the US says, I have $3 million, I have $5 million, I open a bank. But then you have the banks of correlation, where you need banks to work with you, that if you are somewhere else and your bank in St. Kitts, for instance, is a small bank, you need a bank of a correlation that you could do business outside of St. Kitts that recognize your bank to do business. But we took our business in escrow's account into US banks, is US currency, and that invoked the RICO Act against these individuals. And I'm going to say this. For the individuals, as I'm reading and going through and spending time with many individuals, that the lawsuit is slated against ministers who have received money under the CBI program, not the country. The lawsuit is not against the country based on what I've read. It's going at ministers who have actually received funds under the program. And look at how naive we can be. Naive to the fact that we're looking in one direction but not paying attention like we should. And most recently, and I say recently within the years, our government locked ourselves into an agreement and they didn't even realize what they were doing when they did that. You see, back in 2023, there was a meeting held in setting the table for the US government to take action. And that was the third US Caribbean Roundtable of Citizenship by Investment Advanced Implementation. And that was held in different places throughout the Caribbean. And of course, I'll go to February of 2023, where the first meeting was held. Where? None other than in St. Kitts and Nevis. First meeting. And at that meeting, several things were identified. And I'll tell you who were part of this meeting. A part of the meeting was Mr. Timothy N.J. Antoine of the Eastern Caribbean Bank. And then you had the director of the U.S. Treasury, Assistant Secretary Warren Ryan, all sat down and went through several issues of concern that they saw that was really in front of us, right? The next meeting was held thereafter in Miami. And through that, many things were identified and things to be corrected as they should have done, they didn't. And there were four things that came up that they were very concerned about. Because through the investment program, one of the things that they said is that they were not to process applications for persons whose applications have been denied in other of the 5 jurisdictions that had the CBI program. And guess what? We didn't follow it. We went into the other part of it where it says, run checks on each applicant with the financial intelligence unit of the relevant country. We haven't done it. And it goes on to say to them that suspended processing of applications from Russian and Belarusians is something that they needed to pay close attention to. We haven't followed it. So then another meeting was convened where now they add 6 items, 6 that the countries now needed to pay attention to, right? And enforce that they needed to follow verbatimly. And all this was just the setup of the nations to where we are today. And here comes a complaint by a company that brought this lawsuit now, that broke the camel back and showed step by step how the CBI program, in violations and agreement of which they arranged to Canada alike, as we move in another direction other than what was supposed to be, and violating the very act of the agreement signed on August of this year, 2024. You see, some of us think we're smart, but our smartness is only because of the penny rich we're looking for. And if we had utilized the programs right, it would have showed that we were taking care of our citizens. In actuality, our economic base, as you heard one said, if the CBI program dries up, that we're doomed. Who's doomed, really? Because it's not getting into the economy and filtering into the citizen's pocket. So who is doomed, really? And when you categorize an issue where you fabric something to sound a certain way, but really and truly, are we really providing the services that our citizens could be the recipients? In other words, ladies and gentlemen, through the CBI program, if they had moved and placed these funds into a market where it would develop in the stock market, then none of you within the nation needed to work for a mortal soul. I say it again. If they had done right under the program where billions, not millions of dollars were collected And they had placed it into an account under certain adversaries of the government, managed a certain way that every year 12% is removed and is paid out to the people in your beloved nation and federation. No one would need to work. None. But now what the black eye is, because you have the CIA breathing down the necks of our nations. You have Homeland Security breathing down the necks of our nations. You have so many of the federal attaché breathing down the necks of our nation because of our own corruption by our own ministers. And I'm saying tonight to our ministers, all of you, this is not going to be a pretty end. I'm saying it because, again, I take you back to 9/11. That's September 11th, when I, as a young man, saw what was happening within the CBI program and saw how individuals were being allowed to come into the region through back doors by being given what you call diplomatic passports at one point and saying that you're a national and this is one of the ways for you to move. And seeing that and spending time with some of the other political leaders in some of the islands and myself being very vocal about it, it became a thing where communications were had with me after September 11, 2021, because you saw the terrorism behavior, you saw the filtration of hiding funds by a lot of these individuals within our Caribbean hemisphere. We have closed the doors on ourselves. Even Canada says you need a visa to come to Canada when you didn't. You did not. And the more it becomes more prominent, this lawsuit takes the beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in another dynamics, as well as all of the others under the CBI program. Because one of the meetings was held in Grenada. And remember, I mentioned 1983, where the United States sent its armed forces, the biggest since the Vietnam War ever, as far as a detachment of manpower from the United States into Grenada. And here it is, we betraying the very trust of the treaty we have with a nation that came in where many of our other OCS countries didn't go in to help. And that's a fact. None of the other OECS countries went in to help Grenada when it was invaded by Cuba. It became Eugenie Charles of Dominica, the prime minister there, and who paid a visit to President Ronald Reagan and pleaded and begged for her sister islands and the assistance to defend that nation. And here we are today, Brother Marisha, where we're creating another black eye, because the movement, as you go to the open border, there's over almost 40 million people under the CARICOM banner, almost 40 million. To develop an armed force, an army, a real army, not defense force, it just needs about 10 million people. And while a lot of our young men and women are not paying attention, they're looking at those who are, we say high school, for instance, that they will be the individuals who will be indoctrinated into the armed forces of the nation. I'm talking futuristic now. I'm talking now. I had already explained many years ago that there will be a push to open the borders of the Caribbean. You could go back and research it because I made it plain and clear many years ago. Just like I foresaw the 9/11 in 2021, based on how I saw the backdoor corridors are being used. And our leaders within our nation, well, Lester Bird and I had a nasty argument. We went down verbatimly based on what was taking place that I saw in communications with him, as far as things we needed to do to safeguard all of which we are responsible for. More so, these black eyes are not easy to get rid of. The stain is here. So here we go. So here we go with the banks under what we call OCC. And those banks now find themselves in a real horrible place, that they're moving now to settling out this lawsuit, of which MSR filed. And these banks, as you know, as we know, with the Wells Fargo Bank, we have JP Morgan Chase Bank, and then we have Wells Fargo. All these banks right now, and I can say to the people of the nation, are moving forward and settling this lawsuit filed under 1782 by the MSR group. I am not familiar with who these guys are.
Isn't Bank of America one of the banks as well?
And Bank of America. It's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan.
Okay.
Right?
And
the case is well.
One minute there. I was in the National Guard of the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas to be exact. I was stationed in Puerto Rico at Fort Buchanan during that invasion of Grenada. There's someone online that is challenging you that Grenada was not invaded by Cuba. Could you respond to that?
I think what the person needs to do is go back himself or herself and research it. Plain as day. It was in, I'm gonna give them the year so they could follow along, right? That helps a lot. Go back to October 25th, 1983. There was American University there in Grenada. And like I said, all they got to do on those online, fact check, and you'll see it for yourself, where it showed where Reagan, where the name of the operation was Operation Urgent Fury, immersed into Grenada and rescued a lot of those students who were there at an American university that was there, based on the call of Eugenie Charles, who was the prime minister. I love that. I thank that person for the challenge. And I ask all those who are online as well, just go and you do your own research. Date, October 25th, 1983, when the United States of America went into Grenada.
And you know, I could understand why the people feel this way. And this is why the information sometimes, the way that it's presented is what people gravitate to. During my time there, we was getting set up to go into Grenada from Puerto Rico. And before we can get our act together, it was called off. The SEAL team went in, they did what they had to do, and it was called off. So the impression people got then is that the US government invaded Grenada, but they don't understand why, what the situation was. So I could understand the debate. That's why I wanted you to break it down.
And at the end of the day, the United States of America now is looking at this very fabric of what we're utilizing as under the CBI program. But really and truly, we are not communists. We are free nationals in a free world. And as I mentioned, the 10 million people for armed force, for military, and what's, as you saw in the vote, when it came to the vote with Maduro in the last election, where all of the OCS countries abstained from voting. And they did that for a reason. And in not rendering a vote on the floor for democracy, I would say, it leaves the tables open because of all that was done by Chavez and Maduro for all of the OCS countries. And that is where ALBA, which was a currency or a currency that were trying to create as a merger of all of the OCS countries, as well as the Hispanic, Bolivia, and so forth, to create what you call a sucre, a currency that had a value over the US dollar. And we found ourselves locked into many of these things where here it is from Cuba now to Venezuela, they've started funding a lot of our ministers. Not funding a country, but funding our ministers. And that enriched many of our Caribbean ministers. They got multi-surplus billionaires, millionaires. And with that, the silence became a treaty between our ministers in the Caribbean. And that treaty became one of those things that the people no longer had a value, except being subservient to individuals who dictate how to run. So on the MSR lawsuit, it is open for the citizens of the respective regions to join that lawsuit so that the funds of which the ministers have placed into escrow accounts in these banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo, that those funds, based on the suit, which was frozen, that every citizen who joined the lawsuit, they get a dividends out of the success of the case. And it is a success. Like I said, I'm looking at it in a different fabric, based on what's in law, what's in book, based on the movement of the CIA, the FDIC, and I look at the Department of Homeland Security, there is something more afoot. And while thieves move under the cover of darkness, this light is so bright because they work stupid and use US currency through US banks for affiliate banks in Europe and many other places, especially through the Chinese connection. We have destroyed the fabric of growth going forward. So the CBI program have not resulted in producing any sustainable economy or economic growth in our territory. And I speak about economic growth where we could see the businesses, not a name. We see the businesses where our local people are employed, learning and managing and so forth. How much of that are we seeing within the hemisphere? It is only by the program, by citizen, by investment. But investment goes to who? Who's receiving the investment? It sure ain't you, Marisha, and it sure ain't the citizens within the beloved nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. No one is getting a check of dividends based on how it was supposed to have been structured. And the purpose of this was to engage a nation to create programs to make sure that your hospitals, your school, your social atmospheres, all of those issues that makes life easier, and providing dividends to every citizen. And I say, under this program, I can guarantee you that every citizen, if the program was handled right, based on the numbers that I'm looking at, that every family, every 2 weeks would be receiving, every member of the family would be receiving over $4,000 every 2 weeks. Over $4,000 every 2 weeks. But your ministers hid that from you. They hid it from their own people. And while there are other people who, what I'm supporting, they are now not looking at themselves because they become subservient. They're instruments and they'll be used for a purpose, and that purpose is not in the best interest of the nation, of your own people. If we were doing that, yes, our people would get big and fat because you're home and eating good. So we have to offset that to get the exercise programs going. But when you go to places like Alaska and you see what they've done with the pipeline to Alaska, and here it is, these people receiving dividends because that pipeline runs through Alaska, there's no difference to what I'm saying here. It is the same thing if you're smart enough, but the smartness becomes for yourself and not for your people. There's nothing wrong with eating, but make sure your people eating too. And if they're not eating and they're crying how hungry they are, the belly empty, and you're hearing this every day, and you're not taking a step forward to make sure you provide nutrition, you have failed your own people. So I say to the individual, the MSR, and the program that I'm reading, where I hear so many script that says that they're suing the country. The lawsuit based on the document I'm reading says they're suing the individual ministers who are recipients of funds that should have gone into the economy of the territory for the people to now partake and be the recipients of the money that actually belongs to your country. So, Brother Marisha, I tell you, as this gets deeper, and for what I'm seeing, because it is deeper, it is not going to be felt right now because our people doesn't understand. But we're going to look at the stringent enforcement of some of the things that these people will be applying to the region based on our own shortfalls and what we have created on ourselves. We have destroyed a viable program that should have been used by using our intellect, our people first, and we use the semblance of, if I can have a home, every single part of the region. I take you to President of El Salvador. They come in to St. Kitts for some of their ministers, property that have in St. Kitts right now. The new president of El Salvador, Bukele, Nayib Bukele, he is sending his people in because the money from that state that these guys were stealing for years and building and buying property in St. Kitts, ladies and gentlemen, they coming for it, El Salvador coming for it. We are doomed by our own ministry, our own leaders and individuals, and let them challenge me. Because I've been to challenge many times.
Well, Brother Benta, your challenger forfeit. You said you're correct with the information you provided.
I'm sorry?
I'm Grenada. I said your challenger forfeited to you. You said the information you provided with the Grenada situation, you're correct. In regards to Eugenia Charles was the head of the delegation to seek assistance from the USA during the Reagan presidency, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So the information you provided, and I wouldn't lose any confidence in you, Mr. Benta, because as a former chief of police of the Virgin Islands, as a former senator, my background check on you is basic, as clean as a whistle, as I would say. I could actually close my eyes and listen to you speak and know what you're telling me is factual. So I don't need to wonder. I don't need to wonder what you're saying. Unfortunately for us, this evening we are about to enter the top of the hour, Brother Benta. This conversation is going to take many more weeks of presenting it to the people, and I just want to encourage you to continue doing your digging, because this program is here to educate the people, to have that.
Oh, one thing I will say before I go, DJ Marisha, is that the ministers that are there right now, that they move towards moving legislation to create the program for the funds that are out there and those they're receiving now, to create the program for dividends for its citizens alike. They need to move that right away. Yes, this lawsuit is moving, but they need to be now responsible because many eyes are on every single one of us, and we can do better. Thank you, DJ Marisha.
Yeah, thanks for the information you presented. So, and I know some people want us to continue talking, they don't like the music, but I love to bring the music to let the people know that we are one. We are one people, we are the same. We're the St. Kitts Nevis, whether you're from Grenada, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent. We are a Caribbean people. And the same stick that lick the wild goat is the same one licking the tame. So my good people, I'm going to drop this track, and following this track, I'm going to give Mr. Benter the opportunity to give his closing, and we're going to call it a night for tonight. But before I do that, let me thank the good people down there at the Island Purified Water in Main Street, Newtown, St. Kitts. Brother Powell and his team for keeping the DJ hydrated when he's in the Federation. I want to thank those guys for doing that. I also want to continue to thank the good folks who has been contributing to this program over the last 6 weeks. On Monday, I presented the 6th payment to the daycare that I am sponsoring that worker. And I feel so good knowing that I can assist the family in putting food on their table. Social Security is benefiting, that daycare is benefiting. It's a whole, I must say, a whole lot of people are benefiting your contributions. So I cannot say it enough when I say thanks to the man, Jeff Fritz and Sons Enterprise there in the village of Molyneux. The supermarket there, the Fritz Bakery there in Bowie. I want to thank you guys for your continued support of this program. And the people of the Federation love you and appreciate you. My brother there, the man, Eustace Warner at Warner's One Stop. Thanks for your contribution to this program. Because of you guys, I am able to make this contribution weekly. I also want to thank the man Romeo Paris of Paris Pharmacy for your contribution. Sister Gloria Hutchinson, Smart Fit clothing store right there on Church Street, Central Street, sorry, next to Skelec. I want to thank Gloria. Myself, the Jamarisha Productions make this contribution. Sister Hazel Claxton there in the Bronx, New York, thanks for your contribution. Sister Pearl in the UK. And there are several other people that has made some contributions and choose to keep it private. I appreciate your contribution. Those of you who have promised, please bring it in because the reserve is getting dry, and I want to be able come Monday to make that payment in advance to the care so that we can continue to keep this person employed even until the end of the year. It will go a long way to give them a good holiday season. So I'm going to drop this track by the King Element again. This one is from the finals in 1992. This one is called We Are the Same. Stand by for the King Element.
Yes, the time has come for St. Kitts and Nevis to unite. Because the way we just fight down each other, believe me, just can't be right. If something went wrong between us way back then, now is the time to put hatred aside and start to mend. We're so intelligent, so resilient, and oh so wise. Yet how come we still fooling and talking and we still cannot realize that we are one people from the darkness of slavery, same history, common destiny. So when our foreparents came together from Africa here in chain, they shared the same pain, suffered sin and shame. Get it in your brain.
We are, yes, we are the same.
Oh yeah.
Same.
The King Ellie. Love and respect, my brother.
My grandmother was born in Cox in Nevis. Good Lord, she fell in love and consequently came to live in St. Kitts. The sister Albertine was raised in Gingerland. And we best friend come from cotton ground, so we stand in hand. Lord, anywhere you turn, it's kitchen and vision. So I don't know how the hell I go deal with this talk about secession, because we are one people. From the darkness of slavery, we get the same knockout from Master Whitey. So when my black brother and your black sister had to toil day and night in chain, they shared the same pain, suffered sin and shame. So join the refrain. Tell them.
We are, yes, we are the same.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Uh-huh.
I born in Newtown, so everybody know I am a Christian. But when I check for me family tree, I'm also in vision. Politicians through the years divide and rule we, and while we busy making wars, they become high and mighty. Lord, unity is strength. We know this from since we small. It's time that we get together and make it better for one and all, because we are one people. From the despairs of slavery, I said we get the same knockouts in there from Master Whitey. So when my black brother and your black sister had to toil there all night in chain, they share the same pain, suffer sin and shame. I will tell you again.
We are, yes, we are the same. Same.
Sound of the man, King Elimat, we are the same. And folks, this evening, I got to bring some sad news to you guys. As I said last week, my sister, dear sister Ethelyn Gerald, passed away 2 Saturdays ago. Sister Gerald, the grandmother of my baby girl. Her funeral is scheduled for the 26th of October, a couple Saturdays from now. The funeral viewing will be from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Markall's Funeral Home. For those of you in the Bronx, Markall's Funeral Home is on Bronxwood Avenue between 227 and 228th Street. So the name is Ethelyn Gerald. Viewing is from 2 to 3 p.m., service at 3 p.m. So as soon as I get the flyer from Sister Simone. I will get it out to you folks who have been asking me to get the information to you. So again, condolences to the family and the passing of Sister Ethelyn Gerald. I have over the years, the months and the years receiving up to right now, I'm sitting here, several friends requests on Facebook. My good people, as I've said time and time again, I cannot tell the difference between the real people and the hackers. This program have been trying to get hacked for some time now, since 2020. So if you want to be notified weekly when I go live, just hit the follow button. You hit the follow button on this podcast, or you go onto YouTube and click there, get your information, and sign up to get notification. I cannot accept friends because I do not know who I'm accepting anymore. So please hit the follow button. Good evening, Sister Anelta. How are you doing? Hope all is well. I want to big up my son there, the man Jeffrey Jr. there in the LA area. How are you doing? How is Sister Jazz? My daughter there in the Ohio area, Sister Rochelle. How are you? How is the grandkids? Sister Lena Hutchinson, Gloria Hutchinson. My sister Esther there in Tortola, Moki's kids and the kids and the rest. My brother there, Brother Carl Morris in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. How are you doing? How is Sister Alicia Morris? The man Avon Brown, Patsy Brown, Mary Ralph, and crew. The man Kent Bunny. Can't hail up everybody this evening. I want to big up Sister Hazel Claxton one more time. Thanks for your usual contribution. Sister Haley Phipps, tenant there in Scotland. Welcome to the ride. How about Sister Sandra Huggins? How are you doing? How is Millie and Yvonne and the rest of the crew there? Hope all is well with you guys. We're at the top of the hour, like I said. We're going to get ready to get out of here. So I am going to give Brother Benter the opportunity to give his closing remark. Good evening, Sister Lynn. Hope you are doing well. Brother Benter, your closing.
Thank you. I want to say that thus far, there's over 1,500 people who have joined the lawsuit against the banks of the nation by people within the Caribbean hemisphere. And I'm encouraging and imploring those on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis, don't sit there and keep your fingers crossed and think that somebody's looking at you. You have to join. So the information will be forthcoming for you as far as how you can be an applicant so that you can receive what was duly yours, deserving as such. And I want to say, my brother Marisha, I am not very happy to be even speaking in this tone tonight as far as what this is. But what it is. A spade is a spade, and you have to call it. And our people need to understand that, yes, we love our neighbors, we love our politicians, we love our governors. However, do they love you? That would be the question that you need to make sure that you're taking care of. So I say to all of you tonight, let the Lord be your shield and armor. Because men in his face and fabric of who they are unpredictable. When they demonstrate otherwise, then you know what vein they're working with. I pray that all of you will be anointed by the Lord Almighty, and he keeps you in his bosom safe, and he embraces you where your eyes are clear and your brains are sharp, so you can think independently of all of the shenanigans that's around you, but move focused and your way forward, and the benefits for you, your children, and the rest of your family throughout the diaspora of the Caribbean. Thank you, Brother Marisha.
Thank you, sir.
Cabos, located at Fountain Village in Nevis, is the go-to spot for your Saturday treats. Tantalize your taste buds with his delectable Cabos Delicacy Goat Water. Or, if you prefer some soul food, then Cabos Punji and Fish is definitely the way to go. Call ahead and reserve at 869-663-9694. Then make your way over to Cabos and enjoy the vibrant atmosphere while you savor your delicacy. Cabos, we are not changing, we are only improving.
Yeah, man. Enough food.
You got the food all over.
That's how you go.
Girl Sandra, you know where you can find nice fresh local food 7 days a week, one provision and all kind of thing. Girl, where? Right down there by Shellings, by Carmen Catering Services. Girl, she opposite the bus stop. Girl, and she also cater for weddings, parties, anything you want to cater for, funeral and all. Girl, and trust me, you're gonna enjoy the food. And she also selling bites and Sundays. Opposite the car shop, right down the main road. Girl, you could call 665-1494 or 663-6005 to order your food or go and pick up your food. Girl, the food will be finger licking and you get your money worth. You ain't want nothing better than that.
Welcome to Strategies for Business Success, right here on 2020visionradio.com and on 102.1 FM with business development advocate Daniel Atherton. Each week, Danny will build on a foundation to ensure your success in business. Being in business can be daunting, and Strategies for Business Success can help you avoid the pitfalls. Join Danny right here on 2020visionradio.com, on 102.1 FM, and on your other social media platforms every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. That's right, Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. The time and place for your business dreams to come true.
Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're listening to DJ Marisha, playing you the best in Caribbean music. Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're locked into DJ Marisha. Keep it locked.
Right there, you don't move that dial, and let's take a quick listen to what this program is all about.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Marishall's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and a candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Marishaw. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Marishaw, every Wednesday evening, Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Marishaw. Log on.
Yeah, man, you gotta log on and heal up, my boy there, the man. DJ Rabuka, how you doing, my brother? Hope all is well. The man GQ, the man Ronnie Rascal, Monarch, how you doing? Want to touch Sister Cora Bennett. Thanks for your continued support to this podcast. Sister Gwyneth Marisha, hope all is well. Beverly Marisha, how are you doing? My mascot there, Sister Dorothy Allen, hope all is well. I want to touch my girls there in the Budigram Bronx. Sister, my missionary, Deborah Wallace, how are you doing? How is the man Roger Wallace? My crew there in the Tobago area, Gloria Beard, Victor Beard, and Sister Melissa Beard, how are you doing over in the TNT area? Brother Daniel, how are you doing? How is Sister Chanel and the kids there? Hope all is well with you guys. Well, we're going to drop the unofficial anthem of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, you know. And with this song, I should have said it at the top of the hour, but they say you save the best for last. Let's pray for the people in the Florida area that is going to be going through this hurricane situation overnight. I've been through a few of them. I could only imagine what those people are going through. But I also big up my partner there, the man Tango, Brother Glasgow there, down there at the tire shop there in downtown Bastia. Hope all is well with you. The man Austin Williams, this song, the late great The King Harry, this one is called Arise. Lovely music, but the lyrics is what I want you to pay attention to. So please, Sister Laura, check the lyrics in this one.
unification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Would you assist building a wall so massive or a bridge? Don't care how small, as one tends to divide our people, the other unite us all. Unambitious men just cannot be a part of this community. Displaying selfishness, a total lack of interest. No, I said no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Can your conscience be clear? Indulging corruption or misusing public office, being accused of unemployment and crimes, or disrupting a citizen's peace. Oh, my country in disharmony, separated politically. Hatred for a brother, cannot love each other. No, I say no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
King Arrow, the late great. The country is yours, all those. Brother Ben, to tap your screen, open your mic. I want to big up my engineer, the man Ike out of TNT. Because of that, man, this program has been going live and lively. Come the 8th of November, we'll be doing 4 years without Brother Ike. We could not have this program rolling. So I want to thank Brother Ike for your contribution. Also, my nephew there, the man, Brother Glenville Lawrence, for editing my clips weekly to keep me rolling in a timely fashion. I want to say good evening to Sister Ann Farrell Smith. Hope all is well with you. Hope everything is good. Brother Benter, you know we cannot end the night without you letting the people know. November 5th is right around the corner. You got an election to win.
Thank you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, two members of the Virgin Islands, as you say, repeat it, so many that haven't heard. The community of St. Croix has moved a petition for me to run for office again. And it is because I'm still rocking from the music you just had playing because it makes so much sense, right?
They say it online, you know, somebody picking on you, so Mr. Benter, you're rocking, you got moves.
Oh, I'm a Zoom, so I can't see the commentary, so. But I am running. The people have spoken based on information I've been providing. Might have come across to some as being negative because it's hard to believe that our leaders can mislead our own people. But today, between the U.S. Virgin Islands and the U.S. government, as far as how they're trying to pull me in different directions, and there are programs that's getting ready to take place from DJ Marisha for the Eastern Caribbean sovereigns, where most of what the people of the Eastern Caribbean received was mostly from China, Russia, and other places. Now the U.S. coalition is formulating where they're looking now to start paying attention. As I mentioned, through CARICOM and the Army situation that's looking to be formed, the question is, who will CARICOM have allegiance to? America knew that I haven't been there to actually support the OECS CARICOM in many ways. And there's discussion taking place right now to start bringing a lot of the programs to the Eastern Caribbean nations, which it should be. We have housing, healthcare, education, a whole host of other things where homes will be built at no cost to the people within the hemisphere. But I'll leave that for when those announcements are made, but I'll give an early advance. So I would say to the people of the Virgin Islands families, those from the diaspora of St. Kitts and Nevis, and likewise, because you'll be listening to all over the world, all through the Caribbean, and there are a lot of families within the Virgin Islands who are voters. I am humbly asking you for your vote. I haven't led you astray or mislead you. I've always brought the facts and the truth to you. Hurting in some instances, but factual in every sense. That the fact remains that now you're hurt based on what was foretold or forewarned, and now there's a black eye also on the U.S. Virgin Islands. And with that, in moving industries and diversifying an economy means you must have a vision and a focus on behalf of your people first and foremost, which I'm asking the ministers of St. Kitts and Nevis to do, and all of the Eastern Caribbean diaspora under the CBI program. I have been a true servant of the soil, a son of the soil, a son of my Caribbean nation. I haven't forgotten my roots, nor will I ever. I continue to remain poised and directed by the Lord Almighty in everything that I do, because today and tomorrow, my prayers can be loud and they can be silent within my mind, and I know that my Creator hears me. He knows that my heart is clean and it's pure and it's real. My delivery for service, above all, for all of our nations, all of our people, our diaspora, to grow to become the most that they can ever be, that any semblance that our children can follow behind me and you, and they can say, thank you for a yeoman's job to safeguard us from here on and henceforth to include our senior citizens. I humbly ask you for your vote on November 5th, and I am an independent candidate running against many who are very worried and scared that the day that I sit within the halls of the legislature, based on where I left things off, with investors who will be on another radio program with me that's eager to come in and work with me in many developments of which we began, and they're saying, please bring it on. We're with you. The people are with me, I know that. But I, still knowing that, I am humbly asking you for your vote so that I can be your servant, not that you become my subservience. I will be your employee, not you being employed by me to serve you more than anything else to make sure that you have a productive life. Thank you so much, DJ Marisha.
Yeah, well, there's someone online say if they could have voted in the Virgin Islands, you would have their vote. So they might call a family member after you there and ask them to vote for you.
And I really appreciate them. Thank you for that person and all who is online. Really, I guess I'll go to later on and see. And all, I have been very welcomed. I feel that love from everyone who's been a part of, whether you're administration or your opposition, is that common sense must make sense more than anything else. I am not driving a stake in any part that doesn't make sense when it comes to the people's lives first and foremost, nothing else. I love each and every one of them. I respect just every single one of them, just like I would with anybody. But they need to learn to respect their own people too, who respect them. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But I love everybody, and I want to thank you so much for the warm words and appreciation. I love you too.
Yeah, Brother Bent, I look forward to seeing you next week. My good people, on that note, I want to wish everyone blessings this evening and look forward to next